What's going on, everybody, and welcome into another video. And today we are going to be talking about my favorite RPGs of all time. So, little bit of a disclaimer here, guys. My list is going to be very different than your list and most people that are hardcore RPG fans. So, just letting you know ahead of time, there's no Final Fantasy on this list. There's no Tales series. There's no Dragon Quest. There's no Nier. None of those franchises are on my list. And you guys, I know what you must be thinking. You don't know what the hell you're talking about if you don't at least have one Final Fantasy game on your list of RPGs. And I'll just tell you guys honestly, straight up, I just wasn't really into JRPGs or turn-based RPGs growing up as a kid, and I didn't start getting into them until I got much older and learned to have an appreciation for something like that. You know, when I was growing up as a kid, I always thought that the turn-based or JRPG games were, very slow. I was more into like the Western fantasy style of games, and I liked live action combat or point and click combat over, tactical RPGs or turn-based RPGs. Now, that's not to say that I dislike them. They're just not my favorites and my, personal choices for top 10 RPGs of all time. So guys, leave down in the comments your top 10 RPGs. I'm very curious to see what you have to say. Trust me, I'm going to be doing more RPG videos in the future. So without further ado, I don't want to hold you up anymore. Let's jump into my top 10 favorite RPGs of all time. All right, guys, coming in at number 10, I know you're going to laugh, but you have Pokemon Red version. And you guys, I know I'm going to get hate in the comments and people are going to be like, Wrecked, how the hell do you have that little kid game on your top 10 list and not a Final Fantasy game, not a Dragon Quest game? And I will tell you, this game is very sentimental to me. Does it have the best gameplay and graphics and story and mechanics? No, it doesn't, and we all know this, right? Pokemon is like, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. It is the little kid introduction to RPGs, and I know this, right? But this is my original copy from when I was a kid. I absolutely loved this game when I played it. You have to remember, I was born in '91, so when this game came out, I was like 7 years old. And I just have so many fond memories of playing this game with my friends during the summer times. Everybody would have their Game Boys and Game Boy Colors and Game Boy Advances, and we'd be playing our red and blues and our golds and silvers and crystal versions, and we would be trading Pokemon and battling and just competing, and it was just so much fun. Like literally, there was like 6 of us who lived on my street, all around the same age, and countless hours were sunk into these games. And the fact that I've been able to hang on to my original Red version for all these years, it has so many sentimental memories for me that I just will never forget. And that's why I had to put it on the list. Is it high up on the list? Yeah, it's number 10, right? But I know that there's better RPGs out there. I know that. But I had to put this one on there because to me, this is the game that kind of, without me even really realizing it, got me into RPG games to begin with at such a young age. And it has led into, my love for the genre today. So yeah, number 10 is Pokemon Red version for the original Game Boy. All right, guys, and number 9, this is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I'm a huge Bethesda fan. I know, they make buggy games, and we don't talk about Fallout 76. But the game we are going to talk about is Fallout New Vegas. This game right here was actually made by Obsidian, which is an amazing studio. They did games like Outer Worlds, but it was licensed by Bethesda and created by Obsidian. And in my opinion, this is the best Fallout game that is out to date. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Fallout 3, and I did love Fallout 4. I hated 76, but I think that's kind of universal. And I know people say, well, they fixed it and it's gotten better. A lot of times, man, you don't get a second chance at a first impression, and 76, I just have no desire at revisiting. But Fallout New Vegas, is absolutely a gem. It is so much fun, you guys, like getting to create your own character. And, you know, I'm a West Coast guy that's born and raised, and to get to see like parts of California and Las Vegas in this game was really cool. The exploration was neat. The different, you know, gangs and rival gangs that were in here that, you know, attributed to the story. It was just so good and so well done. And the combat was fun. The VATS system where you go into slow motion and you pick off body parts on people was really cool. The, you know, 1940s, 1950s, like Las Vegas feel was super cool. Going into casinos and facing off against different gangs, and, you know, it kind of had that mafia feel to it, you know, like the Bugsy Siegel, Mickey Cohen, you know, Al Capone kind of feel to it. Such a good freaking game. And it's really cheap, you guys, if you want to pick this up and play it if you never have. And another great thing about Bethesda games is, unlike Nintendo, they are super supportive for us, for the modding community, to be able to make the games new and fresh and exciting. So if you ever get a chance, check out Fallout New Vegas. Like I said, Fallout 3 and 4 are amazing, but this game right here is just something special. So definitely check it out. It's on all platforms. But yeah, number 9 is Fallout New Vegas for me. Absolutely love this game. I still go back and play it to this day. All right, guys, and coming in at number 8, we have Dragon's Dogma, a Capcom game. Now, the best way I could describe Dragon's Dogma is it is a Japanese take on a Western RPG. And this fantasy game is absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a mix between Dragon Age meets like Dark Souls, where not necessarily the difficulty of Dark Souls games, but it's where it kind of has that really dark and eerie kind of gothic feel to it, you know, and it's just absolutely amazing. The character creation in this is very, very detailed. It is very in-depth, and the world is massive, and there is an expansion called Dark Arisen for this game. But basically, you play an adventure known as the Arisen, and you have to stop this evil dragon from taking over the world. And there was an anime that was just recently released on Netflix for this game, and Capcom just announced that they are working on a sequel to this game. Thank goodness, because this game is absolutely amazing. I was blown away when I played it. A lot of these RPGs on this list were games that, you know, I didn't know about when they were released, and then once I discovered them, they made my top 10 list. And this game right here is just so much fun. The combat is totally cool. It basically is like nothing I had ever played at the time, where, you know, you can climb up on big enemies and stab them and do all kinds of stuff in real time. And the best part about this game, you guys, is a system that I had never seen before in an RPG, and that is called the pawn system. So let me explain what that is really quickly. So basically, you create your own character, but then you have to create a second character, and this character is known as a pawn, and the pawns serve the Arisen, the main character. So you create a secondary character that is permanently on your team and travels with you and fights with you, right? Well, then you still have room for 2 more party members, because you can be up to a party of 4. So if you have online activated, you will actually see other people's created characters walking around in the world, their main characters, and you can recruit them as pawns to fill that 3rd and 4th spot, which is really cool. So like my main character, right, not my pawn that I created, not my second character, but my main character will be walking around in somebody else's game, right? It's a single player game. It's not multiplayer. Like, it turns your character into an NPC into somebody else's game, and they can recruit you. And what's really cool is if someone recruits your character in their game and goes on an adventure, when they're done using your character and they send your character back, you get money and loot, and they can send gifts back with your character. It was a really cool concept, and I'm really hoping they keep the pawn system in the sequel to this game, because it was just really unique, and I definitely suggest you play Dragon's Dogma. All right, guys, and my number 7 spot is going to Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. This game right here is an absolute hidden gem. I was blown away the first time I ever played this game. It was released in 2012 by 38 Studios. You ever heard of them? Probably not, because 38 Studios only made one game in their existence, and that was this game. And there's a really crazy story behind how the studio came to be and their rise and fall. So the studio was created by famous baseball pitcher Curt Schilling. Curt took some of his own fortune from baseball and opened up 38 Studios and worked and created this game right here, and had a lot of amazing people work on this game with him. People like R.A. Salvatore, Todd McFarlane, and Ken Rolston all worked on this game and were parts of this game. And we all know, Todd McFarlane, right? I mean, he's the Spawn guy. He created Spawn, and a lot of his artwork and character concepts and monster designs are in this game. And the music was phenomenal. It definitely has a more of a World of Warcraft or Fable style graphics, more, very vibrant colors and cartoonish. But the best part about this game and why it's on this list is the combat. Anybody who's played this game knows exactly what I'm talking about. The combat in this game is so fluid. It's like nothing I'd ever played in an action RPG before. It is absolutely breathtaking and so much fun, and you just get addicted to just killing stuff in this game. But absolute gem of a game. But basically what happened with the studio was that they borrowed a bunch of money from the city that they were opening up, the studio in. And the game, when it came out, did really well, but it came out during a time, during the Great Recession, that started in '08, but kind of lingered over a few years. And, video game sales were kind of down, and which was, a really crappy thing for a new studio with no, resume of games. So basically the game sold really well, especially for a brand new studio, their only IP, a brand new IP, but it didn't sell enough to pay back the city that lent them the money. And so they had to file bankruptcy and close their doors. But years later, THQ Nordic purchased the rights to this game and just re-released it, I believe in 2019, at the end of 2019. And now there's a newer remastered version of this game called Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. And you can get this on the Switch, you can get it on Steam, you can get it on PlayStation 4, Xbox One. It is fantastic and really affordable. And last thing I'll say about this game that I think is just so unique. It already had a bunch of awesome DLC when the game came out in 2012, right? But when THQ bought the rights to the game and re-released this or remastered it, they made a brand new DLC for this game. Have you ever heard of that before? Where a game comes out and then, they make all the DLC they're going to make for it. But then 10 years later, out of nowhere, they're like, we made a new DLC for this game. And it's awesome. It's awesome. So you can get this game, like I said, really cheap. Pick up the new DLC, pick up the new version of this game. You're gonna love it. It's if you like Fable, if you like World of Warcraft, and you love games with amazing combat and character creation and story, definitely worth picking this one up for sure. All right, guys, and now we're getting into our number 6 pick on the list, and that game is we got Fable. The original Fable on the original Xbox, created by Lionhead Studio, which was a studio owned by Microsoft that is no longer around. But this game right here is a gem, man. I absolutely love it. I love the cartoonish art style. I love the adult humor and the comedy in this game. I love the story, and the combat is just like so much fun. And the character building in this game and the world building is so much fun. I mean, I just love the good and evil system they have in this game. So the more good stuff you do, your good meter goes up. The more bad and shitty things you do, it goes down. And it actually changes the appearance of your character to where, like, if you're super evil, you'll grow like demon horns and all kinds of cool shit. And your decisions in the world are just, changing the world and affecting the world. And it's just like so cool because, man, when this game came out, dude, like stuff like that wasn't really a thing in depth like this. And it was really, really well done. And, yes, it wasn't exactly what we were promised, right? The guy who was running Lionhead Studio at the time, Peter Molyneux, he promised the world. He promised all of these crazy things that would be in the game. And, you know, a lot of it didn't come to fruition, you know, but, you know, it was obviously, you know, over promising and stuff. And it was like budget and time restraints and just overall technological, like, limitations. They're just, I couldn't get everything done. But what they did get done was a gem. It was so much fun. I love the story. You basically start out as this no-name kid known as the Chicken Chaser, right? You're just a little farm boy. And you go on this a magical journey to save your sister, to save the world, and you become a hero and just a literal badass. And you end up fighting and defeating one of the greatest villains in video game history. He looks like a badass. That is Jack of Blades, and he is just so cool. I love Jack of Blades. But man, this game was just amazing. The combat was fun, you know, at the time. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a little dated now, but you can get the more updated version on Steam, or, you know, and they also included stuff like this, guys. Check this out. So this is Fable the Lost Chapters, and what this did was it added more content. They added more storylines and side quests, new weapons and armor. It added additional places to go on the map. Like, this was really cool. So basically this was kind of like an expansion for the original game. And like, I even have this right here too, which is really cool. But this is the limited edition bonus DVD, where you can actually watch like a documentary about the making of the game. And it has, you know, there's Peter Molyneux on the back right there, and, you know, you learn about his story. And, you know, just I'm a big Fable fan. I loved all 3 of the Fable games. Yes, the third one is the weakest one in the franchise. We all know this, right? And Fable 2 is an absolute gem. And we all know Fable 4 is coming. But there's nothing like Fable 1, man. I just love that game. It's so freaking good. You got to check it out. And it's dirt cheap. All right, guys. And number 5, we are halfway there, is Dragon Age Origins for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. This game right here is so freaking good, man. It is a BioWare game. It is like the fantasy version of Mass Effect or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It is a gem, man. It is so good. You create your own character in this like Lord of the Rings kind of world, where you have to stop this thing that's going to happen known as the Blight, where these dark spawn, or these demonic beings are rising up to take over the world, and you join a team known as the Grey Wardens. And the best way I could describe the Grey Wardens is they're kind of like the Jedis of this world, where they're just a group of badasses who stop evil. And it is so freaking awesome, you guys. The story is great. The character building is great. The leveling system and the talent tree, you know, all the skills you can learn is just so much fun. I love the characters in this game. The story was so memorable. I loved characters like Alistair and Morrigan and Liliana. It was just, the list goes on. And the DLC for this game was a lot of fun and brought a lot to the table. And the decisions you made in this game affected the ending, affected the outcome, and the relationships that you ended up having at the end of the game. And it was just so much fun. I had never really experienced anything quite like this on this level, especially for the time. I mean, this came out in 2008, and I was just blown away. Another BioWare banger right here. And I am excited that they are going to be coming out with Dragon Age 4 Dreadwolf. I'm going to say probably sometime in 2024, more like the end of 2024. But the Dragon Age series is a blast. Now, granted, I think the second game is the weakest in the franchise, and the third game, Dragon Age Inquisition, is the second best, which it's an excellent game. And Dragon Age 2 is a good game too, you guys. It's just not as good as the first and third game. But man, it's really good. It has like point and click combat in this one. The other two are more like live action combat. This is more point and click, kind of like an old style like MMORPG. But guys, if you like BioWare games, you will like this game. It is so well done. Highly recommend. And another cheap game. All right, you guys, number 4 on my list is, oh, man, I know you guys have to agree with me that this game is on the list because it is just such an amazing game. And that game is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic for the original Xbox. Oh my goodness, you guys. Best Star Wars game ever made in the history of Star Wars games. Try to argue with me because you'll fucking lose. This game right here just blew my little fucking mind when I was a kid. Like, and to this day, I still go back and play this game to this day. And the sequel. The sequel is really good as well. Not as good as this one, but it's still really good. I mean, just the story of the Old Republic, the story of Darth Revan and Darth Malak is amazing. You know, just like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, this is a BioWare game where you go through and you have to recruit a party across the galaxy of these beloved, these lovable, beloved characters, and you have to save the universe from Darth Malak. And, you know, you just, your decisions determine what happens throughout the game. You get to go and build a fucking lightsaber for the first time in a video game, if I'm not mistaken. Like, that was so cool. And you go through the whole Jedi training and become a Jedi Master. And oh my God, dude, this game is so freaking good. Like, the memories I have with this game, the amount of times I have played this game. Oh, God damn, if you have not played this game, dude, like, seriously, go and play this freaking thing. I mean, they have it on modern systems. You don't have to play it on the original Xbox, but you can get it on like Xbox One, this Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 4. You can get it on Steam, and they're doing they're in the works of a remaster of this game for the PlayStation 5. Guys, the story in this is so awesome. And, you know, if you just want to be a Jedi and just go on your own journey with your own created character, oh God, dude, the talents and the skill trees in this is great. The traveling the universe and going from different planet to planet, getting to know your party and their backstories, and just getting to see all of this really cool stuff that you'd never seen before in any of the Star Wars movies, but now you're seeing it in a game. Oh, guys, fuck, man. It was hard to put this one even at number 4. Like, honestly, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely love Knights of the Old Republic. All right, guys. Number 3. This one's going to be controversial, and I know you're going to argue, and I know you're going to complain in the comments, because this is an argument as old as time when it comes to RPGs, and I'm here to have this argument with anybody that wants to have it, because there are still people out there in the gaming world that don't think that Zelda is an RPG, and I beg to differ. I argue that 10 times out of 10, I will die on that hill. The Legend of Zelda is an RPG. It is an action-adventure RPG, 110%. If people consider Kingdom Hearts an RPG, then why is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild not an RPG? Yes, this is number 3 on my list of greatest RPGs. Well, my greatest RPGs of all time. This game was mind-blowing. I am a huge Legend of Zelda fan. I have every Legend of Zelda game ever made, complete in the box, except for the handheld stuff. I don't have very much of the handheld stuff, but all the home console stuff I do. I have a couple handheld games, but I have Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, everything. I have them all in the box. I've played them all. And this is my favorite Zelda game and my 3rd favorite RPG of all time. And it definitely is, you guys. And a lot of people will complain and say, well, it's not an RPG because you don't level up and you don't build your stats. And yes, you do. Yes, you do. Just because it doesn't say like you're level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just because it doesn't say that, or, you know, you didn't put 5 points into strength or dexterity, it doesn't mean that you didn't build your stats in this game. What is your hearts? That's your life, your level. Like, you go through and you collect heart pieces and level up your hearts. You also level up your stamina in this game, and you also level up your magic power in Zelda games. And you get different items that help you accomplish quests. It is a very story-driven game. It is an adventure game. Again, guys, if people are considering games like Kingdom Hearts an RPG, then what is the difference with this one? Why would this not be considered an RPG? I don't understand. It has crafting. It has mass world exploration. It has a story. You know, increase your character's stats and abilities. I don't understand. There's my kid. She's just chilling. But I don't understand how this game is not considered an RPG. I mean, there are Zelda games that even have a lot more like RPG elements, like Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Like that game, you actually level your stats. So like, how is this not an RPG? Well, it's an action adventure game. I beg to differ. It's a fucking RPG, and it's the best Zelda game. Well, as of now, until I get further into Tears of the Kingdom, which is a freaking amazing game. But man, this game blew my mind. When Shigeru Miyamoto envisioned an adventure game like Zelda back in the 80s, this is what he imagined. But obviously, because of technology, we got Zelda 1. But this is the closest thing we have to the original Zelda right here. Like, this is literally what Miyamoto imagined it would be. And I'm so in love with this game, man. Like, just I like that the weapons break. I like cooking. I like being able to get different horses other than Epona. I like the exploration, and I like the shrines and the divine beasts as dungeons. There are things that they could do better. Yeah, there was a lot of emptiness in the world, it felt like at times. And, you know, I felt like they were missing a musical instrument, which is a key component to Zelda games. Like, you know, even shitty ass Wind Waker had the little fucking, you know, stick thing, right? But why didn't we get an ocarina or something, right? You know, like Majora's Mask, you had horns and drums and guitar and an ocarina. So like, why did we not get a musical instrument in this game? Yes, there are certain things that this game could do better, but until I get further into Tears of the Kingdom, I'm gonna say this is my favorite Zelda game and definitely deserves to be on my list of top 10 RPGs of all time. I absolutely love this game, and that is a hill I will die on, you guys. Alrighty, guys, we're almost there, and this one for me, this was tough, deciding which one was my number one and my number two, because I love both of these games, and not just because of the games themselves, but the sentimental attachment I have to these games and the memories I have built with these games. And it was so hard for me to decide, but I had to decide, and my friends know what my number one is. They know. And I almost changed it because I just gave it a lot more thought, but I'm going to stick to my guns and what my original list was, because this is just really how I feel. My number two game of all time is Lineage 2, The Chaotic Chronicle for PC. This game right here is an absolute freaking gem, you guys. I loved this game. And this is an MMO RPG. Yes, the MMO bug had bit me all through the early 2000s into like, just up to a couple years ago with WoW Classic. This game right here holds a special place in my heart. Like, I love this game more than anything, and I love when I get to meet people that even know what this game is, because when this game came out in 2003, this game was competing against games like EverQuest and World of Warcraft that came out in like 2005, Star Wars Galaxies, Guild Wars, like games that came out in the early to mid 2000s. And, I love getting to meet people that actually have played this and know what this is, because I just have so many good memories with this game. It is just so fantastic. It's made by NCSoft, which is a company out of Korea, if I'm not mistaken. But this game is just freaking fantastic. It is one of the best MMOs ever made, and it just doesn't get enough love. And I think a lot of that has to do with not a lot of people played it. A video that I watched recently from Happy Console Gamer was, his experience with Final Fantasy XI online. And, God, when I was listening to him talk about it, it just was so so nostalgic for me because it reminded me of Lineage and how hard MMOs used to be. Like, they were not handholdy the way they are today. There's no way in hell that you would get max level within a week. It would take you months and months and months and months of grinding every day, like 5 to 10 hours a day. You had to play with a party. You had to go out there and group with people. You could not solo this game. It was just super grindy, super hard. The graphics were beautiful for the time, right? It was again, like I said earlier with Dragon's Dogma, this was like an Eastern take on a Western fantasy, right? Because this came out in Korea, so this was like a take on what Western fantasy was, with elves and dwarves and orcs and Lord of the Rings style. Man, this was the first game where I was like, oh my god, it's like Lord of the Rings, but I can play with thousands of people and create my own character and go on my own adventure and level up. I was so fucking addicted to this game, dude, that like there was a time where like all I ever did was play this game. All I could ever think about was this game. I wanted to play it every waking moment. Like, literally the stories you hear about motherfuckers playing MMOs and getting addicted, that was me. To where like at a point my parents had to step in and be like, whoa, motherfucker, go outside. Like, what are you doing? But I played this game with my 2 older cousins for years. This was their game. They introduced me to this, and I was blown away. And I played this game from launch all the way up until like 2012. And it is still going to this day, but it's like a shell of its former self. It's free to play now, and we all know when MMOs go free to play, that's kind of where they go to die most of the times. And I've gone back and I've played it over, recently, just to kind of scratch that itch, and it's not there anymore. You know what I mean? It's not the same game, but man, it's so cool to still have this in the box. The original copy of this game. It is just, God, guys, it's so good. So many memories with my cousins and just like joining different clans. Yes, they were called clans, not guilds in this game, and doing castle sieges and questing, and just the amount of grinding that you had to do in this game was just mind-blowing. But MMOs back then, man, like when you accomplished something, you really felt it. Like, you felt accomplished. You felt like you really did something because of how hard these games were back then. I mean, anybody who played MMOs knows what I'm talking about, because MMOs today are nothing like they were back in the day. Like World of Warcraft, you can breeze through the main storyline and hit max level in like a couple days, or even a day if you're really that good. This game right here, even WoW back in the day, that wasn't going to happen, right? Like, you'd play vanilla WoW and it just was not going to happen. So I loved the difficulty, but I loved getting to play with other people. I could go on and on about this game, guys, and that's probably going to be, honestly, another video for another day, because now that I'm thinking about it, I love this game that much that I just want to share it with you guys, even if you really don't give a shit, because I give a shit, and I just fucking love this game. Leave it in the comments if you know what Lineage 2 is, and if you ever played it, please. I want to meet more people that played this game. So let's move on to number 1. All right, you guys, this is it. The moment we've all been waiting for. My number 1 choice, my favorite RPG of all time. And you guys are going to be like, so cliche, blah, blah, blah. But I could say that about people who put like Final Fantasy VII as their number 1, right? Or, Dragon Quest 8. No, it's none of those games. My number 1 game is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I love this freaking game. This game blew my freaking mind when it came out. November 11th, 2011. I had it on opening day, and I played the ever-living shit out of this game for years. All the way up until this day, I still play this fucking game. For a long time before I became a YouTuber, was actually, I would stream this on Twitch religiously, and I would mod the shit out of this game with thousands and thousands of mods. There was a time where I was literally running over 2,000 mods and plugins on this game and totally altered the game completely. But I love Skyrim. Skyrim is just a masterpiece to me. I loved Morrowind. I loved Oblivion. I even played Arena and Daggerfall back in the 90s when I was a little kid, and I still own those to this day. And the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, yes, there were certain things missing from it that were in Oblivion and in Morrowind that I liked better than Skyrim, but there was just so much about this game that I think it trumped every other game in the franchise. I loved the region of Skyrim. I loved the Nords and the story behind it. I loved the combat in this game. It was definitely more polished than Oblivion or Morrowind. And I loved the vast world of Skyrim, and all of the quests were just so good. The Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild, the College of Winterhold. It was just so mind-boggling when I played this for the first time. And yes, the bugs. There are lots of bugs in this game that Bethesda has patched and a lot of modders have patched. But I think that it honestly has its charm. It really does. There's been so many iterations of this game and so many different versions of this game that have come out, from the original to the Legendary Edition to the VR version to, now they have the Anniversary Edition, and there's another one in there too. After the Legendary, there was like, I don't know, some special edition. I don't know. There's so many versions of this game. They keep re-releasing it instead of just giving us Elder Scrolls 6. God damn it, Starfield, like, please come out already so we can finally get this game. But guys, Elder Scrolls Skyrim just holds a special place in my heart. I remember bringing it home on release day and just getting lost in this game instantly, and was like, I loved Oblivion. I played the fuck out of Oblivion and Morrowind, and just getting lost in this game. Like, I would go to work and I would just think about this game all day. Like, I couldn't wait to get home to play it. Like, I couldn't wait to experience another day in Skyrim. And it's been like that for years. And I've made videos on this. I've streamed it on Twitch. I've streamed it on YouTube to this day. I cannot wait for Elder Scrolls 6. But getting to play as the Dragonborn was just amazing. The dragon shouts were so much fun. I mean, I only really ever used Unrelenting Force because I loved blowing people off of fucking cliffs. I loved fighting against the biggest, baddest shit out there, even if I was underleveled and undergeared, and just getting my ass kicked, from giants and dragons and trolls. But I loved it. And I loved all the loot that you could get, and the exploring and the quests that you can do. You could just get lost for thousands of hours in this game, man, and really make it a good time. And I just can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6. Cannot fucking wait. Starfield, you better be worth it, motherfucker, because if you suck, I'm gonna be pissed off that you made me wait all this fucking time for Elder Scrolls 6. But I think Starfield's gonna be good. But anyway, you guys, these were my top 10 RPGs of all time. And don't get me wrong, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of amazing RPGs out there. So if there was a game that didn't make the list, it doesn't mean I don't like it. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to try it one day or play it, because there's a lot that I haven't played. And that's another video that I have coming up, where I'm going to talk to you guys about the RPGs I already own in my collection that I haven't had a chance to play yet, and you can help me make that decision. But yes, don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, the Tales series, the Nier games, like, there's a lot of amazing RPGs that I have to sink my teeth into. But, as a kid, I just never got into turn-based JRPGs, and now that I'm older and not so fucking stupid, I'm still stupid, but not as stupid, I'm wanting to go back and replay all of these amazing story-driven games, and, I'm trying to be more open-minded when it comes to games, and not be so close-minded as I was when I was a kid. So, I hope you liked the list. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It helps the channel out tremendously, guys. Like, I can't believe we're already almost at 6,000 subs. It means the world to me. We really just kicked this thing off in December. So, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Leave down in the comments your favorite RPGs of all time, games that you recommend that I play, because I want to know more. I want to add these to my collection and really get after it. So guys, as always, happy hunting. Oh, and last thing, Final Fantasy VII's overrated as fuck, and so is Ocarina of Time. Goodbye. Bruh.